In today's video, I'm gonna walk you around my house and show you things that we've swapped out to have a non-toxic home. And the first thing happens when we get home.
We stopped wearing our shoes inside the home. I've had 7 children in the last 14 years, and we walk in public bathrooms. We walk outside and step in dog poop. We bring germs in. The second thing we do when we get home is we automatically wash our hands.
Okay, a quick stop in the bedroom before we head to the hallway. And this win will be swapping out your bed sheets and your blanket. Mattress should be on the list, but I know that's a big investment. So although good sheets, good quality sheets, and non-synthetic fabric might be a little bit more expensive, it'll be a quicker turnaround for you to swap something out in your bedroom than your mattress. We have been swapping out with this company for about, I'd say 5 years, and our bed sheets are officially over. We've bought in this blanket, it's held up wonderfully. We just bought some flannel sheets this fall and they are so comfortable. 100% cotton is great no matter what season you're in. And we're in the process of swapping out all of the children's bed sheets also, but honestly, they prefer just a fitted sheet and a nice blanket, so it's been a little bit easier to swap those out. We do stay away from flame retardant pajamas and flame retardant fabrics and non-synthetic fabrics. Not good for your skin, and remember that anything you put on or near your skin will be absorbed by your skin. So instead, what we do as far as flame retardant, we practice fire safety with our children. We talk about the different, if you're in different parts of the house, where to go, what to do if you're stuck, all those things. So fire safety, we're not worried about fire safe pajamas. We're worried about being safe. So instead of buying flame retardant pajamas, we just practice fire safety. I will leave a link about the company that we have been swapping out with. They've held up wonderfully. They are a pricier item, but good quality. You can just feel the difference. So let's head to the hallway. Okay, next I'm gonna talk about water. And for years, we just had the filtration that came out of the fridge. A couple years ago, we got new fridges and had to come up with a different filtration. But about that same time, the city sent out their pamphlet on the water filtration and how it measured up with, safety and standards and all that. But when I cross-referenced what was in our city water to the national average, they were like very high. All of the levels were very high. And we never really thought about it before because we were just used the filter out of the fridge. And so when we decided to do something about it, because we bought fridges without a water filtration system, we didn't really like what we saw. So my husband did a lot of research on what kind of system that we could use. And the Berkey, although it's good, it didn't test very well when some of the other chemicals that are found in our actual city water. The one that we did find was the zero water. But to tell you how bad our city water was, is the first filter we went through in 7 days. The second filter we went through in 11 days. And those filters are like $40 a piece. So therefore we had to come up with a different system on how we could drink safe water. So this is the one we came up. After much more research, we decided on this system. We do have to refill our water in 5-gallon jugs. We do get it from a reverse osmosis place, and right now that is the best case for us. Maybe that'll be different when we can test, when we get a homestead and test our water and what I like about this one is that it can give us instant hot water. I use this when I make broth. I don't drink out of the tap. It's really easy as long as you can carry a 5-gallon bucket, but I have some heavy duty teenagers that help mama out. And all it does is you take this little big straw out. And refill it, put the cap down, and then you have instant water. Now, in an emergency situation, we can still drink the water out of here and not have to worry about needing electricity for clean water. So it kind of is a both. It's an emergency situation, but it's also how we drink our daily water.
Did you know that
people spend 90% of their time indoors. And we have pet dander, we have mold, we have chemicals, breathing into our home from fabrics, from couches, from anything we bring into our home. And if we don't have a good air filtration system, we can be constantly breathing in toxins. And changing your furnace filter and vacuuming and things can cut that down. But I don't know about you, but it seems like I could dust daily and still have issues. So this is another bigger purchase that we purchased to filter our air, and it has an ionizer on it. And I also recently went to our dentist, and she has 3 mini versions. We bought the bigger size versus smaller sizes. Our house is kind of an open concept, and this can filter out our whole home within a couple hours every day. It doesn't have to run constantly. You can set the speed, you can put a child lock on, and you can set a timer for 1, 2, 4, or 8 hours. So if you turn this on, set the timer, and then went to work, you're filtering out your air every day, and the timer is already set. Or it is great for white noise. In the summer, we like to run this at night. It filters all night. It gives the kids white noise, and it has been a great addition. And to cut down on filter is make sure you're vacuuming. You're taking these off and vacuuming to help your filter last a little bit longer. So if you're vacuuming on a regular basis, like once a week, every other week, once a month, if that's all your house needs, we have to do it more often. But it keeps us healthy. On top of our furnace filter, we do buy the more expensive, the one that takes out mold and allergens and stuff. It's a small expense in the grand scheme of things, but it filters out more. Okay, we are in the bathroom, and honestly, there's a lot that you can swap out in the bathroom. You wouldn't think so, but between lotions and shampoos and soap and makeup and toothpaste and skincare, there's so much to talk about in the bathroom. Now, our bathroom is also our laundry room, so I'm also going to talk about that. It makes me cringe to see all the commercials about all the different additives you can put in your laundry, but they're so toxic. The number one ingredient you need to start looking at is fragrance. Now, I learned this only just a few years ago, but the word fragrance on the ingredient list can be up to 3,000 chemical compounds to create that fragrance. Because they consider it a trade secret, they don't have to tell you what actually makes up that fragrance. So there's so many problems with that. And you might not know what you're allergic to when you have an ingredient like fragrance that can actually mean so many more things. So the one thing I want you to do is stop using dryer sheets, stop using the little scent balls, different things. What you just need is wool dryer balls. We've had these for years, and in 10 years, we might have bought 1 new set. And as far as the washer, we use a powder, but we use a brand called Nellie's. And this is just a powder, and a little goes a long way. This laundry soap, we recently switched our laundry soap to a brand called Nellie's, and they're out of Canada. And one thing I also recently learned is that there's so much water in the products we buy is that it's just like an expensive water with some additives. So I had been using a liquid detergent called 9. And although I do have a bottle as a backup, my husband was finding that it wasn't cleaning the dirt and grime out of his clothes. So that's when he wanted me to find something else. And I came across this brand, did some Googling while I was in the store. It seemed like good ingredients. There was 4 ingredients. It specifically said it didn't contain perfumes. It doesn't contain phosphates. So I brought this home, and it has made a huge difference. And I even got a few of our friends that I know live non-toxic also swapped over. And I just recently swapped my dishwasher powder to Nellie's brand also. Again, they're in Canada, and I can leave the links to all of these things that I talk about today. I will try to leave all of them in the description for you. Next up, I want to tell you about EWG. So it's an environmental working group, and it's an app on the phone. And what it is you can scan products right on your phone, and it can give you kind of a rundown on how safe it is. Now, we're not all perfect, and it's hard to find things that work that are also non-toxic. But my rule of thumb is anything that is a 4 and under, I feel is okay. There's plenty of products now with our day and age that you can have EWG verified, which means they are the healthiest objects. But what you do is you scan your code, scan a barcode. Not everything is in here, but you can scan it. And this one shows it is a 3. And if you scroll down, it'll tell you why it's and what to look out for. So what I find normally is red is allergy, so you kind of have to. So this one shows this a 3, and if you scroll down, it tells you what is high and what is green, obviously, and then scroll down, you can read ingredients, and it tells you the level. So there might be only one ingredient that's making it a higher level. So you just have to go through and scan it. Another thing I found is the old school hairspray is actually safer than these higher end brands. I went through after getting a haircut, and I was like, oh, I'll get a hairspray. Don't use a lot of products. But I went through the hairspray aisle, and between not being logged into EWG and anything that did scan, they were like 9s, 8s. You can't find everything on the EWG app, but it's a great place to start because you can have it in your pocket, and as you're at the store, you can scan products. And the easiest way to swap non-toxic products is just as you run out of your product, you just find a replacement. And this goes for skincare, this goes for makeup. Sometimes it's not always about EWG. Sometimes you actually have to figure out the brand. Because I have some makeup specifically, I don't use all one brand because some products are safe, some are not safe, and I haven't found an encompassed all-in-one makeup brand I can trust across the board. My skincare, on the other hand, I found my skin, I have dry skin, I have maturing skin, and I have found and swapped to olive tree people, and my skin absolutely loves it. It's a waterless, it's called waterless beauty, but it's because they don't actually put water into their product. Water is a byproduct in some of the ingredients, kind of like a plant. You can squeeze out water out of a plant, but the plant isn't water. That's kind of what the skincare routine is. But I have a whole video on olive tree and my skincare and the products I love that I'll link here, but I have swapped that out. I have swapped shampoo and conditioner by walking down the store and making sure that I'm checking. Because again, I haven't found one company that it's across the board. Some scents are safe and some scents are. So you just kind of have to figure out which products work best for you.
Okay, we're ending the tour in the heart of my home, and that is my kitchen. And if I give you 3 pieces of advice to start in the kitchen for a better, healthier year, I'm gonna say 1 is to really read ingredients. And as far as ingredients, I want you to, number 1 is to skip all of the oils for you. They're really bad, they're highly processed. The other one is food dyes. And food dyes, they hide in our pickles, they hide in spaghetti sauce, they hide in a lot of things just to improve the color for us to be visually stimulated for these things. But they're unnecessary and they wreak havoc in our body. And you can really notice those things in children because a lot of dyes cross the blood-brain barrier, which in return can happen like hyperactivity. It can be almost like your kids are on sugar and things like that they have more trouble concentrating. The second one is I want you to find and cook with ingredients. And I'm personally getting back to an ingredient household. It's so easy to slip, but it really does matter the foods that we eat every day. And one thing with that is that you don't necessarily want to, for me with children, I couldn't just necessarily swap
one for one. Like, we didn't go from boxed mac and cheese to homemade mac and cheese. There's a level of texture and taste bud changes that can happen that you can't just sometimes just switch. Things like yogurt would be easy to swap. Instead of buying the berry yogurt, you buy vanilla yogurt or plain yogurt, you sweeten it with maple syrup or honey, and then add frozen berries. That's an easy swap. Something like mac and cheese isn't gonna be a one-to-one easy taste bud texture swap. You kind of have to give space between introducing the homemade version of something that you normally buy. And then my other thing is that when you buy and cook with the ingredients, you might have to find a few different ways to use the ingredients and recipes. And one thing I found a couple years ago, I bought this book, and it just really helped me understand like how food can complement each other. And one thing she says in here is, we all talk about making broth and bone broth or chicken stock, but what she suggests to do to understand this concept with salt in the salt section is that she says, make chicken broth. Don't add salt, but you can add whatever you want to it. And then when you cook it, put it into glass jars, like mason jars, and maybe line up 4. The first one you don't put any salt in, and then this one a little bit of salt, this one more salt, and then that last one a lot of salt. And you're gonna taste each individual mason jar of stock, and as you get more salt into your stock, it really like brings the flavors out. People are always scared of salt, but I think we shouldn't be scared of having salt. I think we should be scared of having to use salt after we use a pre-made product, because then we're getting even more salt, if that makes sense. But anyway, the experiment really showed us how flavor can be brought out by using herbs and salt and things like that. So this was a good like basic understanding of how cook is. And I'm just like everyone, I get stuck in a rut of making the same things, but I really do like to bake and cook new recipes. And I always like to get recipe books from the library, and then if I love it, I can buy it. If not, I can send it back. I copy the recipes I like in my recipe box, and I take the book back.